Yo, it's been a while since I recorded something, and it's kind of been a while since I've written something concise. I do write a lot of kind of nonsense poetry, and it's not very well received. But exactly a week ago, I released a speech that I wrote maybe 2 years ago. It's called Not Even Close. And my intention was to use this speech at my book launch of my novel, Patient Doctor Privilege. And this isn't really a plug on that. It's more paying respect to, a decent body of work. An artistic expression. A very imperfect one, and for me that's kind of the whole point of this process. Whether it's recording my voice or writing something down. I'm just expressing something, being creative, producing art. And I think for a lot of people, art is a painting, a sculpture, architecture maybe. Not so much words. And maybe that's because words aren't invented, they're arranged, but so is paint. It's not like every artist invents the medium they use. It's a composition of a lot of different things. So yeah, I wrote this speech. It's longer than some of the writing I've put out on my website before. And it's old. And I was flying high the other night, taking a break from life's stresses. And I put it up on Facebook, and it was pretty well received, I think. But like all the things I do in terms of self-expression, I'm not really doing it for you or for a broader audience. I'm kind of being very selfish, which isn't very me for those that know me. I'm doing it to talk about what I want to talk about, to see where the conversation takes me when I'm talking to just me. I'm not trying to look cool or wanting to make a good impression or even having continuity through my thought pattern. I can go out on a limb, cut it off, chop it down, recycle it, and go again. And it's all there for you to see, or me to see, more importantly. It's a cool experience though, because words hold a lot of meaning and association for everyone, and you can interpret something written in so many different ways. And one example springs to mind. I'm not competing at this level, but the Bible is pretty tripped out. And it's brought the world to its knees multiple times, whether it's Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, Islamic faith, or whatever it might be. It's powerful. And part of my creative expression isn't through paint, isn't through music, isn't through sound, it's through my voice. And a really bad way to get that out there is with writing. Because I'm writing how I talk right now. In a way, I obviously get to think about what I'm saying before I say it or type it. and I can go over it and take things out and adjust. Unlike these recordings, which are one go, that's it. What have you got, Dave? Show me. It's cool though. I like it. It's not the same as having a conversation with someone, because I'm just relying on me to pull things together and reflect on my own life and my experiences and my opinions and my mistakes. Looking at my mistakes, which are ever more present when they're written down rather than said. People are a lot more forgiving of things that are said than what's written down. And I'm working on that. I'm working on my artistic expression in the form of writing and the spoken word, like I am in this recording. It will never be finished though. There's really oddly no light at the end of the tunnel. I'm like 3/4 of the way down the tunnel, and the last quarter is going to take forever, and I'm just in darkness, hearing the echo of my own voice. But I carry with me everything that I've been through and everything that I've done and seen and indirectly been involved in. And yeah, I like it. It's a good place to be, you know. It's better than not doing something creative, which, you know, says a lot, I suppose. So what do I say in this speech? You might be wondering. Well, you can have a read of it. It's unique for me even. It's not a perfect body of work. It's not meant to be. Some 4 years ago, almost exactly 4 years ago, I wrote a speech very similar in some respect, but I actually delivered it in front of an audience at my 30th birthday. And it was received pretty well. You know, people came up and embraced me, and maybe it's because they were drunk. But it went down well, and I knew it would, because it was just me, and luckily enough for me, I was surrounded by friends and family who knew me. So I guess they could understand where I was coming from and give me the time of day, which they did. And I took full advantage of that. However, with this speech, sadly, I haven't delivered it. It's fallen on deaf ears. So I put it online. I didn't get the chance to say my piece and see what it meant to others. And perhaps that's a bigger sacrifice in a way. Because as I've said multiple times before, I'm doing this for me, and part of that is not getting feedback, is being caught in the ambiguity of things that haven't been said. And whilst I've put it online and it was received well, it's still not quite the same. There's no closure around it. And the closure I was seeking when I wrote it was the launch of my book. And perhaps I've missed out on something, not being able to get that closure, that point of validation from others, especially when it comes to my biggest body of work, which was my book. But when I read that speech, it reaches me. I'm like, fuck, what am I really saying there? Do I even know? The way I put it is I turn up to the muse's doorstep and this channel opens up and something like the speech that I wrote comes out. And personally, I could sit there and pull it apart for fucking ever. And I'm not going to explain what certain sentences mean or the general gist even. It's more about moving through the motion with an end point in mind. There's always kind of a start and a beginning and an end, and the middle's all over the place. Very much like life, I suppose. It's pretty cool though. I like the journey I take myself on. And the sheer disrespect and confidence and vulnerability of speaking your mind. And then later on, a year later, watching it land. And still finding relevance in it, but still finding typos, still finding punctuation mistakes and poor word choices. One thing I noticed though is that how much I've improved. Other people might not really notice it. I think I'm a lot less scared. And I'm a lot less worried about making a good impression, which I think can be said for everyone as they get older. I hope it is for you anyway, because when you're really just worried about making a good impression all the time, you're not really yourself. But when I write, as I write, I'm more myself. In a weird way, I'm more myself. Because thoughts are a cloud. There's no real substance to them. They're kind of all over the place. And I've witnessed that a lot, especially over the past month or two. I've been working 2 jobs and both narratives are very different, but still kind of in the same mental health sector. And I'll notice I've got my personal life narrative, I've got my job 1 narrative, I've got my job 2 narrative, and I'm in the shower and I'm like, fucking hell, well, 20 minutes has gone past and I'm just thinking about fucking everything. And it just getting, but when I write, I end up writing about shit that I didn't even fucking know that I could explore. It's amazing, and I mean the process is amazing, not the actual content. The process is amazing, and it's something that I touch on in this particular speech is that you hear some people talk about that it's not the destination, it's about the journey and blah blah blah. Or it's not about the journey, it's about the destination and you need to fucking shoot for the stars and become an astronaut. But I think it's both. I think it's both. You need a North Star, but you also have to be aware of the grass that grows beneath your feet. And there's no reason you can't have both. There's no reason you can't enjoy the train ride to the city knowing that you're going there to get fucked up. And in a weird way, it comes back to the title of this speech. And I don't even know why I chose it. I called it Not Even Close. And I think I called it that because I was trying to put a dot point, get some closure on something that will never be closed. And it's a gentle reminder that it will go on for as long as I'm alive. And I'm really not about putting my notch in the high school desk for the generations to come to see. And I'm not about impact anymore. I think it's a worthwhile pursuit to see where it takes you, but it's not about impact for me. Yeah, I don't know what it is about for me, which is a hard thing to admit. It's kind of a bit of everything. The future looks good from my perspective, but there's going to be tragedy and challenges along the way. But I've probably dealt with worse. I don't know for sure, but I like the absence of certainty when you're knee deep in tragedy. It's weird. I feel comfortable there, and that's why I seek it out in my day-to-day life where I work. I like that capacity to listen when there's kind of somebody sitting cross-legged in front of you, dousing themselves in petrol and lighting themselves on fire. Just that extreme presence that draws you in. And to carry that for as long as I can and reflect it back at myself. And I do this, I kind of document it in a lot of the poetry I write. And funnily enough, that's where I close out my 30th speech, but also this speech about my novel and my book launch that never happened. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool knowing I'm on the right path. It's cool being able to express myself. It's awesome just throwing words at the wall and seeing what sticks and taking a screenshot and uploading it onto Instagram. And even if no one cares, I still sadly listen to these recordings. I still sadly read the things I've written. And I always kind of learn something. I always kind of get something out of it. Even if it's just reaffirming what I've been through in a lot of instances. And entertaining the idea that whoever is reading this or listening to it, I wonder what it means to them. Maybe that's close enough. Cheers.